Not going to take Okay. Ah, crazy. Oh, there was an extra chair here. Okay. Check. Just he was just in the lobby, so he's good now. Yep. Okay.
All right. We'll call this meeting to order of the Moorhead Economic Development Authority. We'll start with a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members present today include Anderson, Karoon, Koda, Leeser, Schofield, Sobolik, Somala Folkerts, and White.
Thank you. Any amendments to the minutes? Or agenda amendments? None, I believe. We'll move forward with the approval of the minutes from last month. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any citizens to be heard today? I don't believe so. No. Yep. Commissioners' reports. Sherry, go ahead, Sherry.
Hello, everyone. Is this on? Okay, sounds great. Okay, I am Sherry Larson. I'm the Executive Director for the Moorhead Business Association. And the Moorhead Business Association's mission is to promote, support the growth and success of members in the greater Moorhead area. We encourage a thriving business community throughout networking opportunities, advocacy, events, providing the resources that we need to flourish and succeed. Wow. How many of you were at the Greater Moorhead Days Parade? We were there? Yes. What a great night. We had Frosty, who was created by J. Ray, our popular snow sculptor in the NBA snow sculpting competition. He made his appearance promoting Frostiville 2024, and it's really cool to be cold in Moorhead. On Thursday, the NBA was at the Moorhead Cruise Night. We were one of the co-sponsors with more than 300 cars, live entertainment, food trucks, and vendors. We are excited for next year with the new location at M State, and the room will have room for up to 500 cars. We have Let's Talk Business this week, and the member that will be sharing their story will be Prairie Vision Center. MBA Nonprofit Connect, we meet on the third Thursday of every month. We'll be meeting on September 21st at 7:30 a.m. at Village Inn. This month's theme is marketing and communications. This is not just for the nonprofits, it's for the profits as well, so please join us. MBA 560 Connect is a great way to network with MBA members after hours. Joining us on Thursday, September 14th from 4 to 7 for the grand opening of Minnesota Med Spa and Prairie Vision Center. Then join us for the MBA 560 Connect on October 3rd with Moorhead Public Service Public Power Week Bus Tour. Seating is limited, so reserve your spots today on the MBA website. Have you heard of the Noon Hour Morning Show? Live with Travis and Alicia? All the fun and more on a morning radio talk show, but it's at noon. It's powered by the Moorhead Business Association and Fix It Forward Auto Care. Tune in on Friday from noon till 2. Our special guest this week will be the Courtyard by Marriott. College Bash 2023. A new name, a new location, a new date. Hundreds of college students from M-State, MSUM, Concordia College, and NDSU will be there on Thursday at Sunset Lanes. A big shout out to Access Clinicals, Sunset Lanes, and American Crystal Sugar, for they are our main sponsors. Free cosmic bowling, free arcades, and DJ Pretty Ricky will be entertaining the college students. It's a fun night to visit, spin, and win. Our community is so much stronger when we're all doing things together. We are Moorhead proud. Any questions? And if you're available on Thursday night for college night or college bash, please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, moving on. Number 6, are we ready for our presentation?
Yes, we are, and I can kick it off if we'd like here. So we're pleased to welcome online here today Nick Tietz from the ILT Academy. Nick is the founder and CEO of ILT Academy. Little bit of background, and I'll turn it over to Nick to give some history and kind of what they're doing. But the ILT is a partner for the West Central region for what's called the Launch Minnesota program that the Department of Employment and Economic Development did a couple of years back. So they provide entrepreneurial training to individuals throughout the West Central region and, quite frankly, greater throughout the state of Minnesota and North Dakota as well. But we've had a number of individuals within our Moorhead community that have gone through the ILT Academy. We thought it would be appropriate to have Nick just share what ILT is, maybe give a little background on Launch Minnesota and some initiatives that they're planning and working on right now. So Nick, hopefully you can hear us, and we're glad for you to join us here today.
Thank you very much, Derek. And thank you, everyone. It's great to be on the docket today. I'm going to try to share my screen so that I can talk through this presentation that I put together for you. Okay, let me hit the button one more time. Okay, stand out, side by side, reporter, and only. Okay, I'm gonna switch. Are you guys able to see my presentation now?
Yes, we're able to see it.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Thank you. All right, as Derek mentioned, my name is Nick Tietz. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called ILT Studios. We are a startup studio based in St. Cloud, Minnesota, focused on empowering underestimated entrepreneurs in underserved geographies. A startup studio's purpose is to help entrepreneurs start great companies. And we have a focus in rural, urban, and informal settlements in third world countries. Inside of our company, we've started a training organization called ILT Academy that's designed to empower underestimated entrepreneurs to learn the lean startup, design innovation, and design thinking process so that we can get more great businesses going. Our mission is simple: find the siloed innovators and entrepreneurs in every region, and then meet the entrepreneur where they're at. Emerging founders, serial founders, repeat founders, innovators, program leaders, anyone that's looking to purposely push an idea, commercialize it, and expand it using the methods of a lean startup. At the same time, connecting them to a larger community and culture of other startup entrepreneurs, because startup entrepreneurs do different things than businesses that are up and running and at scale. And then connect them to all available execution and commercialization resources in a region, in a community, and across the state. And so really what we're going for is to build up a new community of entrepreneurs. This is one of our, I think this was the 12th cohort that we ran in Minnesota. And this is what underestimated entrepreneurs look like: pipe welders, PhD professors, serial entrepreneurs, high school and college students. In fact, we've run 26 cohorts since November of 2020, 457 founders, 400 companies. And in the last 12 months, these founders have raised a little over $6.8 million in the Minnesota and Fargo ecosystem. But our vision isn't just to teach and train. We want to see a community of problem solvers, innovators, and critical thinkers working to solve the challenges in their community. Now, I want to highlight that in the last 26 cohorts, we have had a 51% female founders coming through. We've done a really good job of getting the BIPOC founders engaged. I'm a naval veteran. I don't know why we don't have more naval veterans coming through or any veterans coming through, but that's okay. But the point I want to focus you in on is that 73% of these founders have been from greater Minnesota. Now, specifically, as Derek mentioned, what have we been doing in the Fast Lane cohort? So Fast Lane is from Elk River up to St. Cloud, following the 94 corridor all the way to Moorhead. We've received funding from Launch Minnesota, which is a program that came out of DEED, where we've been able to run a number of cohorts, partially funded by the state, partially funded by regional economic development groups, corporate sponsors, and other philanthropic sponsors. We've run 2 pitch comps, 4 cohorts, 96 founders that have come just through the West Central corridor. We did a high school pitch competition and an adult competition. Trimix was the winner in 2022. Of course, you guys know them from the Moorhead area. And then this past year, we had, again, another youth and adult division with Talknician, which was really focused on augmented reality in the heavy machinery and machining space. They have a really, really cool idea. We gave checks away, which was great for our high school students, and then also for our adult students that came through. A number of the founders, again, coming from the Moorhead area specifically. So a couple things about our program that's been growing and growing all over the northern part of Minnesota and the Twin Cities. We do these really amazing 30-second pitch nights where founders come in and they don't just give one pitch. They have to give multiple pitches on their business idea, because what most people don't know is that sometimes your first draft is your worst draft, and you need to practice giving multiple versions of your pitch. So we engage community leaders, business owners, and other entrepreneurs from all over the state and parts of the country to come in and listen to these pitches. Down here at the bottom, Annika's she's a high school student from Fergus Falls coming through the program. So adults and high schoolers taking this program, which is really cool. We also connect them to the regional economic development and support organizations like the SBDC. So Ian's come in a number of times and he gives a talk on the SBDC. Barry, who was at Central Minnesota. We want to make sure that entrepreneurs know how to connect and plug in. Over the last 2 years, the governor heard about what we were doing and came and visited our space in St. Cloud. Then Senator Emmer heard about what we were doing in St. Cloud and came to visit the space to connect with more entrepreneurs. We do Startup Connect events where we're bringing in the existing business community and then entrepreneurs. I jokingly say, from St. Cloud and then not from St. Cloud. So we've had people come down from Moorhead and Fergus and the Twin Cities to come up into the region. That way they can see how awesome it is to connect with this business community. And it's something that we want to be doing more of in Moorhead. And then we had our big 2022 demo day, 13 founders that came through the program. We just had our second demo day just a little bit ago. Specifically over the last 2 years, founders from just West Central have raised $2.3 million. In 2022, we had 4 Minnesota Cup semifinalists. In 2023, 6 Minnesota Cup semifinalists. Just for some context, there were over 3,300 applications to the Minnesota Cup. In 2023, 80 people were picked, 6 of them from West Central. So I think what I want to just highlight to everyone here is that there's some really great stuff happening in the West Central corridor that's connecting to this larger picture of entrepreneurs getting connected to a bigger ecosystem. We have college students. We have social workers. This is a social worker that was in the St. Cloud area. She had been told by 4 Centricare executives that being an entrepreneur wasn't her thing. She came to one of our workshops. She called me a month later. She raised $50,000 in a coffee shop in St. Cloud because she knew how to tell her story. Annie Kaiser has a halal-based health and wellness skincare line. She's been awarded $50,000 in award and has gone from an indecisive business owner to someone with a streamlined business and clear vision. Olamide is an immigrant to the United States. She's launched her business. She's raised almost 100 grand in capital for her Tiger Nut Milk functional beverage. Ramsey Schaefer, again, Greater Minnesota. He's been coming up to St. Cloud, 2-time Minnesota Cup finalist, raised over 350. We have an entrepreneur from Brainerd working in the tech space. We have a very talented entrepreneur pair in Claire and her husband, Brandon. They've raised $745,000 in a non-venture backed business. This took them 3 times coming through ILT to get that story worked on. In fact, one of the things we didn't realize when we started is that because we're focused on training, sometimes it takes a couple times to figure out how to do this. And this is why it also takes time for entrepreneurs to raise the capital and get the momentum that they need. And that's one of the things that we're doing really well at ILT in supporting these entrepreneurs. This is another tech entrepreneur from the Grand Rapids area. Has raised over $2 million, 13,000 total signups for their Next Gem trading card application. Lisa was a founder in the Twin Cities that stumbled into our demo day last year and said, this isn't happening in the Twin Cities. So she started coming to St. Cloud. She's now raised over $1.1 million, and they plan to hire 14 employees in the next 12 months. And then lastly, Lucas Kuna, their company started this was about 3 years ago. They had 4 employees. Now they're over 20. They're in 4 different companies, and they're working with some of the biggest companies in the United States. It's really, really cool to see how we're engaging entrepreneurs all over the state of Minnesota. Our program is 100% virtual. We're plugged into many communities all over northern Minnesota. And I had really excited with the engagement that we've had in Moorhead, but we would really love to get more engagement and more community connections with government, nonprofits, and business leaders in the community. And I thank you guys so much for your time, and would love to answer any questions that you guys have. Oh, lastly, as Derek mentioned, our program is free to the entrepreneur, because what we do is we work with regional economic development groups, nonprofits, corporate leaders in the state to get funding and resources so we can teach and train entrepreneurs in our 2 10-week programs. We have an intro 10-week, and then we have an advanced 10-week program.
Thank you, Nick. And maybe could you expand on just real briefly just your partnership with the Greater Fargo Moorhead Economic Development Corporation? I know the Startup Brew stuff, Startup Brew Fargo, et cetera. Just maybe touch base on that a little bit.
Yeah. So with the Fast Lane cohort, the Fast Lane organization has a hub lead in St. Cloud through the Regional Economic Development Group. And they have partnered with Greater Fergus Falls and with Greater Fargo Moorhead Economic Development Group to write the grants for DEED. And so we've partnered very closely with as many economic development groups as we can along the corridor to help get best connected in the community. We are members of the Moorhead MBA. And they're actually the only chamber that we're a part of outside of St. Cloud. And we've had a great relationship. John Mahachek, I think John actually first connected me with Derek and Dan Molly, and has really worked hard to help me get better connected in the Moorhead area. And of course, now that I've been connected with Derek and Dan, that's been very helpful to connect with more Moorhead business owners.
Thanks, Nick. I'll hand it back over to you, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions from the group, but we really appreciate your time, Nick.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner White.
Thank you very much. I just have 2 questions. One, could you tell us what the Minnesota Cup is? And then after that, you mentioned that folks, that the cost is covered by organizations. So I'm wondering if somebody's interested, is it the organizations that pick, or can someone apply and then get support? How are people recruited and selected?
Oh, great question. Thank you. So the Minnesota Cup is the premier business planning competition for the state of Minnesota run through the Carlson School. And I think it's like a 4-month program with the winners winning up to like $400,000. And I think they've been doing it for the last 15 or 20 years. So it's a great way. It's been one of the only funnels across the state prior to ILT, really trying to engage other geographies. In terms of our sponsorship and funding, we work with organizations to find sponsorship and then to identify entrepreneurs that are a good fit for this kind of training and program. And then we work with them to select those entrepreneurs. So for instance, the Minnesota Department of Transportation has hired us to run 4 shared mobility cohorts across greater Minnesota. And so we work with them. We do, of course, the training and education. At the end of the day, we're outsourced education. But they are the ones that are working to pick and select the applicants that come through the program. So if they're funded by a sponsor, such as the Initiative Foundation or the West Central Initiative Foundation, we work with them to try to identify people in their region that would be great fits to come through this program.
Yes, Commissioner Caroon.
Thank you. Nick, can you tell us 2 things? Why do you believe it's really important for Moorhead to be a part of supporting our entrepreneurs in this way? And what are you hoping that we can do to support the work that you're doing?
Thank you. It's a great question. I think that, as one of the, regional leaders across the state of Minnesota, I think it's really, really important for entrepreneurs to better understand how to get plugged in and connected, especially into larger cities. And then for the entrepreneurs that are in the community, I guess the reason why I started the company is I was tired of seeing people leaving their community to think they need to go somewhere else to start a business. And the biggest reason is because emerging and early stage entrepreneurs aren't members of the chamber and they're not members of the economic development group. They have no reason to be in the room prior to this because they don't know how to tell their story. And on the business side, business leaders that have tons of experience aren't connecting with early stage entrepreneurs because often there's an age gap or an experience gap. And so what we're trying to do is foster that connection to unlock the brilliant, talented entrepreneurs that are sitting in your community and you don't even know that they've got a world-changing idea. And so what I would really like and love is to get the Moorhead EDA and all the business leaders in the community to rally around startup entrepreneurs to show the rest of the state why Moorhead's a great place to start and sustain and grow a business. And we love doing it. I hope you can catch the passion that's coming, from us. We've got a lot of really awesome entrepreneurs that have come through the program from Moorhead. And I would really love for them to get highlighted even more in your community so we can show the rest of the state, what's going on in Moorhead.
Yeah, that's great, Nick. We really appreciate the work you're doing, and we all are on the same page in wanting to support that entrepreneurial activity. Yes, Derek?
I'll just add, I think I think Nick brought up a really good point there, and I think, there's many of us that have experiences helping entrepreneurs, but, I just remember even early on when we end up having the partnership through Launch Minnesota with Nick and team, and getting folks to recognize, entrepreneurs to recognize the opportunities and the benefits. To Nick's point, it's sometimes hard for those individuals to put themselves out there, get themselves out there, and know who to connect with. So I'll say a couple different things. One, it's on us, team, and other partners within the area to recognize resources that is available to them. But likewise, it may be a challenge to our EDA members as well as members of the public. If you know folks that are going through kind of this startup process, whether it's through their garage, out of their house, whatever it may be, make us aware of it, even in the smallest capacity, because a lot of times we get asked who would be a willing participant of ILT or somebody that just wants to go through that process. And if we don't know, we can't assist either. So that goes through ILT, that goes through our West Central Small Business Development Center, other resources that are out there. So the more that we can connect our individuals, I'll just say it for what it is. I think a lot of times the easy path or the known path is through Emerging Prairie or Startup Brew or another Fargo-based entity. Those entities do work in cross collaboration with us as well as ILT. But it's just recognizing that there's more out there and there's more things that we can do. And these are dollars coming through the state of Minnesota that are supporting Minnesota businesses and Minnesota entrepreneurs as well. So we thank you for your efforts, Nick, and we look forward to continuing the conversation and how we kind of can expand our services and opportunities for folks here in Moorhead.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, moving on to business items.
All right, so I think 7A here today, so this is our 2024 preliminary budget discussion and resolution to approve a maximum tax levy. So I'll kind of set the stage here. Amy, fill in if I miss anything. But today what we are asking for, and we kind of set the stage at the last meeting, is we are looking for the EDA to set our maximum tax levy preliminarily here today. So in years past, I'll just throw it as an example, and you can see on our budget worksheet here today, our preliminary budget, that highlighted yellow number, that's the 709,023. That is the maximum amount that we can set the budget for 2024. In years past, we have set the max levy. That gives us the most flexibility to finalize our budget over the next few months here. And then we would come back to the group as an EDA to discuss the appropriate max levy at that point in time. So today, again, is just preliminary. It's not making any tax decisions at this point in time, but looking to have a discussion on what the EDA would like to move forward with as that preliminary max levy amount. To set our next conversations about specific line items within the EDA budget. Amy, did I miss anything on that? Okay. With that, we'd be happy to have any discussion, conversation. I know some of our past EDA members have kind of made some actions in past meetings, so I don't know if those folks want to give some clarity on why that decision was made in years past, but open to having those conversations now.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, and as all the members can see on the page previous to the proposed budget is kind of the breakdown of the timeline of what going through the budget approval process looks like over the next few months. I believe in years past, again, as Derek mentioned, I think we typically, at this point, usually go with the maximum number there. Under the tax levy, and then we kind of refine that and hone that in over the next few months. So if Ben would like to make a motion in one form or another, and we can continue to discuss if needed.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the maximum levy of 709,023. I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'll just add, I think, Mr. Chair, you did a great job. So today we needed to set that max levy so then our council can take those appropriate steps here in the last meeting of September. I'll say we wanted to make sure that you got a preliminary budget. So take the time to look through that. Pose any questions to Amy or myself. We would love to try to hammer that out. If we do feel that there's a need to have a specific budget discussion or budget meeting, we can certainly do that. We can see what October's meeting schedule looks like, but we certainly want to make sure we have dedicated time for you to see this budget preliminarily and have further conversations as we move forward through that budget process.
Yep, I definitely second that as well too. Definitely take some time offline and take a look at this so we're prepared. Come back together again, or again if we need to have a separate meeting as well. I think Derek, you're up next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a couple quick things worth highlighting here for the development report for this month. Tonight at City Council, we have a couple different items as it relates to our downtown Moorhead redevelopment project. One in particular, and this will kind of cover two items on the report, is the West Central Main Street Initiative program for the Main Street Economic Revitalization Program. I think many of you maybe heard some of the challenges behind that grant program. There was a limited amount of funds that went out to Greater Minnesota, specifically to the West Central Initiative area. As a reminder, we had $3.4 million for the highway, for all of the West Central corridors. The Highway 10 corridor from Moorhead all the way to Bluffton received $1.8 million of the $3.4 million. Happy to report here today that the Moorhead projects, we had about 33 to 34 applicants in total. All of our Moorhead applicants, which I believe was 7 of them, ranked within the top 10 of the scoring of that program. So really grateful to our program applicants and the dedication and the time that they put into their application process. All of them received funding, and Moorhead is receiving half, if not more, of the funding that's out of that $1.8 million. So we're seeing a lot of that money stay here in Moorhead. I think that goes again to the great work and the great projects that we're seeing, and that goes from small scale, some business kind of improvement stuff to demolition to new mixed use buildings and projects that are happening up and down our corridor. One of them that will be going forward here to council tonight is to authorize some of the demolition of funding that will go towards the Herberger's demolition. So Roar's team will be making some preparations, hopefully here in October, to start some demolition of that particular project. Kevin Bartram, Matt Gilbertson, and Matt Lau looking at a redevelopment project. And many others. So just really grateful for their time and energy, and I think it reflected well in the scores. You can imagine we had $5.8 million requested of that $1.8 million total. So it was difficult. We had really hard conversations as a review group, and glad to see that that extra time and dedication to their application process paid dividends for receiving money and keeping that money here in Moorhead. Library Community Center, we have the consultant team here in town actually today. So Miller Hall and JLG been holding meetings. I just came out of a 2.5-hour meeting here this morning. I know Laura Caroon was there as well. There's some public safety meetings as well as some other engagement opportunities happening here in the next couple days. So glad to see that progress continuing. Stay tuned. We're going to have more information and more engagement opportunities on some of the social media platforms that already exist for that Yes 56560 campaign. Last month, too, we had the opportunity to have a conversation with a new deed commissioner, Matt Verilick. He's out of Little Falls originally, out of their Initiative Foundation. I think it was a very positive conversation. Many of you recall we had been having quarterly conversations with Commissioner Grove, Steve Grove, who went on to the Star Tribune. Those continued with the interim director, Kevin McKinnon, who has a history with the Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC. We're glad to see that a Greater Minnesota presence is now in a commissioner role for the state. I think there was a lot of encouragement on how we can connect and how we have some relevancy in projects. So Matt has assured us that he's going to be visiting Moorhead very soon. I think they had some tours set up overseas, but we've been working diligently to have him up and showcase our city, and hopefully have him here for the whole day where we can look around some of our redevelopment opportunities, tour our career academy, and many other opportunities as well. Couple other last closing things. I know Concordia held a housing in Fargo-Moorhead, exploring challenges and possibilities program a couple weeks back. I know a couple members of our EDA were able to attend that. And the last thing I'll mention, I know Sherry referenced some of the events. There's a lot of events happening, unfortunately, on the same day here this Thursday. We also have one of the EDA-sponsored placemaking events, the Sunset on the Riverfront event that Folkways is putting on this Thursday at 6 p.m. That's going to be just south of the American Crystal Sugars headquarters. So lots of things to check out. Hope that families and all folks from the region are able to attend some of these wonderful events, and hopefully fingers crossed for some good weather as well. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the EDA may have.
Any other questions, comments? I don't believe so. Seeing none, we'll adjourn.
Thank you all. Just a reminder, we moved sandwiches in here, so feel free to grab, and you can eat still out in the lobby area as well.